Together, let's embark on a scientific exploration of yoga, where you are the scientist, your heart is the laboratory, and you are the outcome. Namaste. Welcome to today's program. Like every Sunday, today we will be meditating with Daaji. And today, in continuation of the last episode, Daaji will once again be sharing his wisdom and teachings on communication. He will also tell us how to communicate more effectively and heartfully. Communicate in a way that will not hurt others around you. So let's join Daaji on this exploration of heartful communication.
Pranams everyone. In the previous episode, we explored how our intentions and our inner condition is reflected in our communication. How the process of refining ourselves inside can lead to more refined interactions. Remember the exercise I invited you to do throughout the week. What happened with it? Did you observe how is your inner state when you are interacting with someone, when things go just well? Like over a coffee with a friend or a colleague, or at home with your spouse or children. Note your inner condition when the communication is harmonious. How are you feeling inside? And importantly, how are you expressing yourself, and what is the quality of your listening? Do the same when your communication with someone crashes. Any difficulties or conflict that happens with someone, take time to note what is happening. Again, observe your inner state. And what was your intention then? See, did you insist on being right? Did you feel uncomfortable if you were proved wrong? Did you speak more than you listened? Could you sense how the other person was feeling? Did you notice your different inner states when involved in various interchanges, peaceful and not so peaceful? Did you become aware of any repeating habits in your communications? If you cannot figure out what your repeating habits are during conversations, ask your loved ones, especially your children or your spouse. They'll highlight those repeated habits. In particular, did you notice how much you tend to be speaking and how much you really listen? This week, we will explore a different angle. How what we do in our outer way affects us internally. How our communication, our behavior, and way of being in the world has an influence on our inner state. Many people are now sincerely learning and practicing heartful way of communication. And I have noticed that the impact is going far beyond communication itself and is having a significant effect on people's overall spiritual state and more palpably their happiness. One of our trainers tells a story about the impact that learning a new way of communicating had upon some pretty tough people, especially the Scottish prison guards. She was part of a project called From Custody to Care, where a group of prison guards learned communication and counseling skills such as deep listening, respectful speaking, and group facilitation so that they could in turn teach others. At the start, they were very cynical and on the defensive. It seemed that they were completely allergic to this language of feelings, speaking by the heart. They would tell each other jokes to hide their discomfort of sitting in a circle, talking about themselves. One guard asked the facilitator, "Hey, where did you park your spaceship today?" To show that for them it was as if such a trainer came from completely a different planet. You see, for these prison guards, their world of work was a tough, violent one where a communication was limited to giving orders or to mocking others or themselves to release the tension. But as the weeks went on and the facilitators showed that they respected and accepted everyone in the group, the man found that it was safe to open up. They learned how liberating it was to express their feelings in an authentic way, how nourishing it was to be listened to from the heart by someone, and how much they enjoyed supporting others. There was still plenty of humor, but it changed into light, playful humor, not biting sarcasm. The trainer recalls one session where one of the big macho man covered with tattoos and scars had tears running down his face as he grieved how the prison culture imprisoned hearts. He said, "There is no room for compassion in this work." And no one in the circle joked. All were quiet, sad, nodding their agreement, empathizing with their colleague. In the end, any guard who didn't want to take part in this new way of being and working was called a dinosaur. So, this is the power of heartful way of communication in practice, where learning new ways of relating with each other can transform us from outside in, and where compassion, which is empathy in action, can simply flourish. We forget how deeply ingrained our habits are and how conditioned we are in our communication. Much of the time, I think we are playing a crazy game of who is right. Too often we think we are right, or we get upset if things aren't done as we want them to be done. And we are largely unconscious, of the effects of this that can have on someone else and on our hearts as well. We do this even in small things. Say your spouse or friend misplaces the train tickets and you both end up rushing late to the railway station. Would you be likely to say, "See, I was right, you had kept the tickets, not me. It's your fault that now we are going to miss the train"? See, such unkind words, we justify and defend ourselves, and this feeds our habit of wanting to be right. And chances are you will get into pointless and very painful argument. Such things are part of our so-called normal conversations, but they can be very damaging. We might win an argument, but what if we lose a friend? Do we really win if the other person feels hurt? Do we feel happy and at peace at the end of the day? I like this quotation from Dr. Wayne Dyer. He says, I quote, "When given the choice between being right or being kind, choose kind," unquote. Another reason our communication becomes difficult is often because it's laced with likes and dislikes. Prejudices, we tend to assume how the other person is by our past impressions of them, isn't it? If it's a person you like, You happily converse. You go on talking. We have opinions about anything and everything. This liking and disliking, having strong opinions, keeps us in our heads and makes it difficult to have warm, heartful connections. This way of communication, it entangles us in knots like whirlpools. We keep repeating the same patterns of likes and dislikes, making them stronger with each thought. So we need to do some hard work on our habits. Heartfulness way of meditation and cleaning both help us so much with this, and naturally we become more sensitive and observant. We cannot change something that we are not first aware of. So let's become aware of where we need to amend ourselves. For example, if I don't realize that I have a habit of interrupting people before they finish what they want to say, haven't you noticed this again and again? How can I change? Or if I am not really listening with my full attention because I am busy thinking of what I will say next, I might need someone to point this out to me. Really. Anyway, a friend of mine told me of a mischievous trick he played on a fellow teacher. You got to listen to this one. This teacher had a habit of not listening at all. In the middle of this conversation about children's education, she said to her friend, I used to teach spiders to read and they learn so fast because I also did yoga with them every single day. You know what that teacher responds? Oh yes, what I bet you didn't have 50 in a class like I have. He didn't even notice that she said she was teaching spiders. And he had no idea what the others were laughing about. This vital element of really listening, of being fully present, is one of the most important aspects of heartful way of communication. And we will take this up in the next session. For now, maybe we can reflect on why we have 2 ears, 1 mouth, and 1 heart. What other simple changes can we make starting today? We can work with the practices from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras of Yama and Niyama. They will definitely refine us and help us live our lives in tune with nature. Niyama is all about developing positive habits. It's all about renewal. Humanity desperately needs this renewal right now. We need to cultivate joy. Let us meditate with joy and interact with joy. What will happen when we consciously and intentionally look for the good? Look for what we appreciate in each person we meet. Why not? This is an active choice we can make every moment, not to judge or harbor negative thoughts about them. However much we differ, human beings are still have more in common with each other than that which seems to divide us. We can also choose to nourish trust and generosity. We can choose to believe that someone's intention deep down is for our well-being, because deep down it almost always is. We can intentionally practice compassion and kindness in our thinking and in our interactions, even in emails and WhatsApp messages. Just pause for a moment before you press that send button and check, is my message respectful? Is my message gentle? What I'm writing, is it kind? It only takes a second to check, but it can make a world of a difference. Spoken words might escape attention, but written words, no one can forget. And perhaps most important of all, having harmonious relationship requires us to realize we are all connected inextricably with each other. We came from the same origin and we are all heading for the same destination. Rather, the best way to get there is to meditate together and to nourish the consciousness that we truly are one. I have observed that when family members meditate together, there is such a harmonious attitude, and that develops a real family. Try it and see for yourself. Let us have bhojan and bhajan together. Let us all now meditate. You all know how to meditate, and perhaps some of you do not really know how to meditate and joining us for the first time. This is how we meditate. Heartfulness way of meditation, it's very simple. Feel relaxed. Remove all the distractions if you might have. Something like phones. And focus on the presence of divine light in our heart. Think that this divine light is attracting your attention inward. And retain this thought as long as you can. If by chance you happen to move away from this noble idea, when you're overwhelmed by so many thoughts, just remind yourself that right now I am meditating on the presence of divine light. Please start meditation. That's all. Thank you for joining us, and see you all again next week at 9 a.m.